Welcome to the Strategy with Jason podcast. Tune in for everything you need to know to stay in the know regarding the automotive industry. Here's your host, Jason Harris.
Hey, what's going on, Podcast Nation? It is Jason Harris here, and thanks for joining me on another episode of Strategy with Jason. This is a fun episode because, as you know, we're getting very close to NADA, and right now I decided to do a few podcasts with pretty much anybody and everybody I want to talk to when it comes, all right, to NADA and just what's going on with them and the world of automotive. And I got a special guest for you guys today. I have the only, the oh so famous Daryl the Wolf. Look at him. He's laughing. Daryl Steed, what's going on, man? How you doing?
What's going on, Jason? Thanks for having me. I don't know.
That? Was that good enough?
Quite that intro, but yeah, it's great to be here.
Come on. That was an intro. Come on. My inner McMahon, man. I'm trying to summon my inner McMahon. Actually, no, I don't want to do that, do I? Probably not. Probably not. Well, hey, man, what have you been up to? Are you getting ready for NADA? What's up? How are things going on with you?
I am actually. I just got back from FedEx? Yeah, FedEx, getting some some postcards with something that we have available. Setting up some talking events at a couple of the booths, and then meetings, things of that nature, and pretty excited about what's coming up.
Dude, I love NADA. For everybody out there watching, listening, you've probably been to an NADA. If you haven't been to an NADA, look, it's like our automotive Super Bowl. It's can be literally sensory overload, to be totally honest with you. As a dealer, I attended this event for almost a decade as a dealer before I ever attended it as a vendor, and there is a lot to look at. There's a lot to consume. So, all right, I got a question for you, Daryl.
Shoot.
What advice, all right, would you share with any dealers that are coming to NADA? Just curious, what would be your advice?
So big advice would be is pick 2 or 3 areas that you're looking to improve your store, and then pick 2 or 3 vendors you want to see. So do some pregame, okay? Do some research. And then if you're going to be there for 2 days, figure out how you're going to break it up. If you're going to be there for 3, what a lot of people end up doing is they get there and they want to see all these things. They didn't do any pregame. And it leaves you just getting information overload, and you don't have any real idea of how or what that would do. And so you don't remember the things that you want to remember. So when you have 2 or 3, you can have more detailed conversations. So you can actually ask the what, the why, the how, rather than just the sizzle.
Sure.
And it allows you to then take back the follow-up of who you want to get down. Like if you pick 3, now you've had the conversations, who's the 2 that you're going to follow up with, or who's the 1 that you're leaning towards, rather than I get 6 different handouts. I have no idea. And then you get lost in that second thing, which I found this out, and I'll be one of those vendors. So I help dealers. I'm going to help look for a few things for the dealer clients that I'm doing, but don't get caught up in just the people that have booths. Look around, meet everybody, say hello to everyone, because there's quite a few people there that are not these bigger companies that have really viable solutions that you want to make conversation connections every time you can.
100%, man. I tell you, some of the longest lasting connections and dealer friends that I have was probably made over a beer in a bar at one of these events. And, I've known each other now for almost 2 decades. So
sure.
Right. And just to add to kind of what Daryl was saying, and I'm with you 100%, Daryl, shopping list, make a shopping list. All right. Now, once you've kind of identified your shopping list and what niche you're going after, let's say you're looking for an AI partner. Let's say you're looking for an operations consultant. Let's say you're looking for a new website partner. Right now, guys, if you notice, I've used the word partner now multiple times. And I think that is absolutely incredibly important when you are shopping these days. I think we're the days have, beyond where we're a vendor is just good enough. Vendor meaning that I just provide you something and you anticipate to do with that. I really think you guys need to be looking at any product, service, or solution, and in the way that that company and that product or service is going to partner with your operations. Now, here's how you do that. I'm going to give you, this is the way I used to do it. I used to take some small notebooks with me. I travel around with them, right? And there's always 3 key aspects to my dealership that any product, service, or solution is going to affect. And you got to document this, all right? How's it going to affect your people? How's it going to affect your process? And overall, how's it going to affect your operations? All right. Really ask those questions to those individuals. Few things you're going to identify. You're going to know, right, what if there's going to be people changes, process changes, or operation changes, but you're also going to know their willingness as a company to partner with you through getting through the transitional changes that are required in those 3 categories. What would you add anything to that, Daryl?
You know what? It's funny you say that. So you said people, profit, and operate, or process and operations. The core foundation of Smartwolf Consulting and Street Smarts is people, profit, process, and profits.
There you go.
Which is the exact same thing, because your operations lead to profits. And what I love that you said, I mean, love it, is, and I think a lot of dealerships struggle nowadays, and so I want to reemphasize this, is people is the first thing.
100%, man.
It can't be the last thing. So everyone's like, well, how's it going to make me more money? I will tell you right now, don't believe me. Go there, bang your head against the wall. Go to NADA and try to figure out all the solutions that are going to make you more money without putting your people first, and find out just how quickly that they'll be ineffective.
Yes.
So I agree with that. When you're taking the notes too. So I have a podcast, Street Smarts, and some products off that. And we have some interesting guests. I've had some companies want to come on and pitch their products.
Yes.
And so that's not what my podcast is about, unless, and this is where those tough questions come in, you can answer the question of what you do to help the dealer be successful. So I'm eliminating the vendor.
Yes.
I'm saying, and so a lot of these upper echelon people, VPs, presidents, things of that nature, have asked me, well, we have, no. What do you do? Boots on the ground. Do you go in and actually show people how to do this, rather than just saying, here's a product. If you do it, it'll make you successful. And now if you have a product, like I have that academy, and if you need support, there's support available. But if you just want the academy because you don't want help, like you don't need, great. But if you can't list or speak to what you do, I would caution dealers to get into any relationship where someone's not willing to show you and they can only tell you.
That's a really, really, really good point. No, 100%. And I think that's key. And actually, I'd actually like to dive a little bit deeper, because I love finding rabbit holes, by the way, Daryl. And I'm glad you opened up this rabbit hole, because it wasn't really going to be my next question, kind of for you, right? Is that, hey, you are going to be there. If anybody kind of runs into you, all right, let's talk a little bit about like what makes Wolf Consulting unique, and why should dealers really reach out to you and have a conversation?
So 2 things. I don't like to have this laundry list of things that I can do, because I mean, in all fairness, there's a lot of good people out there. I actually just got the question the other day saying like, hey, you said you've been doing this for over 13, almost 15 years now, 14 years and change. How come no one's really seen what I do? And I'm like, well, I'll be 100% honest. I've been busy doing it. And so it's really hard to be doing it and showing dealer success and then make time to talk about it. So the one thing that I start with that makes me unique is I'm going to get in the trenches. I'm not going to just drop off a process and then call you once a month and tell you what you need to be doing, or look at this reports, or regurgitate some information from the industry. I'm going to actually come out to your store with the Smartwolf experience, and we're going to do it. We're in it. I customize it for you.
That's what I'm talking about as far as partner goes. I'm
going to be in it. And if I promise you something, we're doing it. I don't care what time it takes, but we're going to customize it, because I think we've gotten to a trap of like, we set it and forget it, or we have these things. And so you need to look at what your store is going to do. Stop trying to look at, we got John Smith Motors here, and we got, Betty Smith Motor, and we're like, well, they're doing, doesn't matter what they're doing. What do you want to do for your store? So I take a customized approach, and I show people, as well as the training and everything else. The other side of it is the Street Smarts side of it is the product. So, and when I say product, there is now a virtual training academy like nothing. And I can actually say this for a minute anyway, until someone does something different or better or whatever else is. This is the first of its kind, because it is a training academy that is all designed on how to train people for acquisition. I mean, apparently, yes, you could probably use pieces of this for sales, but
Well,
it wasn't
and
designed.
I love that's a proper process that I think a lot of dealerships haven't necessarily mapped out yet. Like let's talk about, like, I mean, we're really kind of thinking about that for a second, right, Daryl? Like, if we think about the 32 processes that are really required to sell and service a car, right? We haven't necessarily had a process, or really kind of I wouldn't say we haven't had a need. We've had a need for a long time. It's just I don't think anybody's really taken the time to actually map out an acquisition process. I apologize. Keep going. Keep going.
Yeah, so it's funny you say that. So the reason the Academy came to be, and I'll spend 2 minutes in a diatribe here just to kind of give people kind of where it was, is
Sure.
the Smartwolf Consulting it's not overly expensive based on the return you get, which we have results, and you can get them on our webpage. You can see in Google Drive. But it's not like it cost me $1,000 a month and it's going to be this magical solution. There's a lot of time. So it is an expense you have to invest in. So everyone's like, man, I wish there was a more affordable option. And so what became interesting is I've been building these processes and having these conversations, because my first buying center, private party acquisition, service drive, was in 2010.
Gotcha.
So everybody's talking about the buying center like it's this this massive new thing. This is the 15th year for me. Mm-hmm. And so I built all these things out, went through a couple of recessions, went through good booming times. COVID, let's take that out because that doesn't even matter. Anyone looked like a genius. And so what we found is, from the psychological aspect, from the store aspect, was it is almost everything you would think you would train, or that you do train for sales. It's almost the exact opposite. And so, right? And when you think about it, it really comes down to one sentence, right? Or one phrase or one methodology. You have nothing they want, and they have everything you need. So when you think about that, is how do you train your people? Do they have the training? Who's done it successfully? I've met a dozen people that said, like, oh, I have a pretty good buying center, a pretty good buying operation. However, when they tried to do it in another store, they can't make it work. They've made it work for a location, but they can't replicate it. Well, this Academy, what I've been able to do, it doesn't matter where I put it in the country. It doesn't matter what brand I put it in. It has been successful in every single operation. And so, when I say that is, now if a dealer starts it and then gives up, you can't obviously bring the horse to water. You can't make them drink. But the thing that this Academy does is it has an interactive walk around, which is the price of admission just on that there's nothing like this ever out there's just not. I've now shown this to probably 20 different bigger groups, and they're kind of surprised by it. Then there's all these other tactics and training things of, are we putting our people in the right position to win? Are we putting our people in the position to have the conversation when we already know the value is going to be too low to the consumer?
100%.
And so that was my real passion, was I am all done. I was all done 4 years ago when I started this company, but I'm 100% done with the status quo. So like the card that I'll be handing out, or the postcard, or whatever you want to call it, is break the status quo. Like, why do we continue to want to do the same things and not make a change? Well, I'm just done with it. So we created this Academy. We have a genius group, which is like a mastermind, but actual content that you get from an additional training sessions, things of that nature, as a support element to it. And we want to give people the opportunity to take back control from the streets, right? Bring that income in.
You want to dive actually into the operations, right?
Yes.
And I think about
when
we think about the people, the process, and the technology, that ecosystem that exists inside of the dealership. This is one thing that I kind of admire about you, Daryl, is that, you're going to look at all of that. You're going to look at the entire ecosystem.
Sure.
Inside the dealership. And this is not necessarily a one size fits all, even though there is parameters to the system, but you still approach it as that, hey, these are people. They're not robots. I can't just give them a set of programs and just tell them to go do stuff. Like, you do still have to treat them and approach them as an individual, right?
It's an individual situation. And two things that I think every dealer would acknowledge, I don't say that they would just say prescribe to, is everybody learns at different speeds.
Yes.
Right. Like, so this is one of those things where, yes, there's all these little basic lessons and the foundational basics, the things you need to create a strong bedrock. But now who's going to give you that support? Who's going to do the things to ensure that they learn in the pace they need to?
100%.
Because I think we throw away people too fast. We either hire badly because we don't do the right hiring practices, or when we do, we throw them away too fast because they didn't learn as fast as we wanted them to, but we don't have them set up to learn the way we want them to anyway. We're constantly telling people, and we don't use the VAC training. We don't use different ways to and then understand how they learn the best. So this attacks all three of those. There's a visual, there's an auto, there's a kinetic part of this. When you get the support to it is like, then if you're like, hey, we need people to come in. Okay, we're going to come in and we're going to show you, because I had an example. We did Used Car Palooza where we were talking, and I went into a dealer the day before and they told me, private party, it's impossible. They've had no success. And so I was like, I completely disagree. And we'll just say it got to a spirited point in the conversation.
Sure.
I said, go ahead and pull up your system and pick a car. It doesn't even matter. I'll call them, and if we call 3 or 4 people, I promise you we'll make a couple appointments right now. And so it was using these word tracks, using these processes and everything else. And we made 3 appointments out of 6 calls. 2 showed. And now I have no problem admitting they didn't buy either one of the cars, but that came down to the store not wanting to step up or make the deal happen because they didn't have the retail strategy in place to
Well,
do.
it is a mindset. I mean, right, Daryl? I mean, it's
Sure.
like if you don't have, if you don't have that mindset and the willingness to grow, then no matter what you throw at them, it's never going to work that way. Hey, look, Daryl, I know we're getting towards the tail end of our conversation, and I know me and you can easily talk for hours.
Sure.
Right. But hey, we're going to save a little bit because we do want anybody out there watching and listening to make sure they reach out to you and connect if you're going to be at NADA. But actually, there's a great question. Before I let you go, Daryl, for everybody out there watching and listening who would love to connect with you, maybe at NADA or even sometime afterwards, what's the best way to connect with you?
So you can text me, and my number is 916-588-6263. You can hit me on any social media. So it's either Daryl Steed or Smartwolf Consulting. But I will tell you 2 of the 3 days, you won't be able to miss me because I will have not quite as unique and as magical as an orange tie, but I'm looking to come in close second. I will have on a crushed velvet purple jacket.
What?
Oh, yes. And I will have that on Friday and Saturday. Sunday, I'll have a goldenrod crushed velvet jacket. So my goal by NADA is that I am one of the top 5 people are having conversations about, because whether we're talking about used cars, how you can better your operations. I want to come into NADA merely as somebody to connect with and give away as much information as I can to help dealers.
100%.
And then stoke the conversations for how we can build together in 2025.
Dude, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, look, guys, you better reach out to Daryl. He's just a fun guy. If you see him, buy him a beer. He'll give you some stories. He'll share some fishing stories with you. No, I'm just kidding. Hey, Daryl, man, thanks so much for taking the time to jam with me today. This has been a lot of fun. Really look forward to seeing you at NADA. We're going to have a blast. And everyone out there watching, listening, we really appreciate your time. You all have an amazing day.
Thanks, Jason, for having me, and you guys have a great day.
Thanks.
Thanks for tuning in to the Strategy with Jason podcast with your host, Jason Harris. Don't want to miss new content? Be sure to check out the full podcast library at strategywithjason.com to stay in the know. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Happy podcasting.